All right. Yeah, I think I'm finally live now. This is gonna be a quick one today. Just gonna kill a little time. I got a pretty easy one set up for me here. Well, hopefully easy. And I also wanted to get this other switch to charge the battery and the one I'm about to repair, so that when I finally go to put it together, I don't have to wait on it. So let's go ahead and throw this semi-functional switchboard into this shell that you see on my bench. And we shall see if I can get the battery to a usable level. And then while that's charging, I will show you what else I'm going to be working on today. Um, this one's actually been sitting in my pile for a while. It was purchased knowing that the person before me tried to repair it and did an absolutely horrible job. Excuse me. So there is going to be some fun ones with this one, even though it's pretty basic in terms of repair. So let's just get this guy. So this one is from that purple one I was working on the other day that I'm still 99% sure most of the problems are flex cable related, because I put it in this shell and I got every single button to work except for the screen capture button. And I did do some continuity testing and I figured out where that screen capture button goes, but unfortunately I don't know, everything looks good, so I'm kind of stuck as to why that one button just refuses to work. Other than that, the thing is literally 100% functional, so, you know, I don't know, I might end up just having to bite the bullet and sell it as is or move it on. It just kind of sucks that I can't get that one completely working. All right, so real quick, we're just gonna double check here. I'll show you that the battery is still in circuit protection. Okay, so let's see here. We've got okay, so you can see 2.91 volts, which is far below the 3.8 volts that you need to make these things boot. Now the switches are smart lithium ion batteries here. They have a little bit of circuitry hooked into them so that once voltages drop to less than safe levels, they actually just kind of shut off to prevent complete and total discharge, which is a fact I learned way too late because I replaced several batteries thinking they're completely dead, and they were in fact rescuable. So if you ever get a switch or a switch light in and the battery is reading 0 volts, it is well worth your time to actually throw it onto a charger and let it sit for a while, because what will happen is it'll trickle charge and 0 volts will turn into 2.9 volts, and then eventually 2.9 volts will turn into 3.8 volts. So I got to give kudos to Nintendo for this design, because let me tell you, as an ex drone nerd, excuse me, discharging your lipos, over discharging your lipos rather, is a very nasty thing to do. And once you get to a certain point, the thing is just unusable and you can't recharge it. So having some circuitry in there to actually prevent that from happening is a really good thing. So right now I'm trying to find my broken USB cord here so I can get this thing plugged in and going. It's around here somewhere. I was doing some late night work, trying to figure out my laptop issue. That's the other reason that the stream is going to be short. Is I'm kind of just stress testing the laptop to see if some changes I made will allow me to use it for longer than I have been. If you've been visiting the stream past couple of times, you'll have noticed that it abruptly ends because my battery just dies, and it just goes. Okay, I remember what I did with it now. So I do apologize for anyone that has stopped by, and then unfortunately, I didn't get a finish. I haven't been able to actually finish a stream properly since I started doing this. So hopefully, one of these days it'll happen. And actually, when the stream abruptly ended the other day, the switch I was working on, I did manage to get fixed, and which really bothers me because I've yet to actually fix something live for you guys. It's always been problem after problem, so really does kind of suck. So let's get this thing plugged in here. Let's see what happens. No charge. Okay, so it's doing that stupid thing again. I don't know. It just doesn't like this cable or what. And once in a while, I just got to kind of unplug and replug this thing, and it works again. I don't know why. Yeah, see? Absolutely fine. Yeah, I don't get it. Every once in a while, it's like it just wants me to flip it, and it's fine again. So we'll just live by its rules, I guess. So it's, right over here, we got the ammeter, and we plug it in, getting 15 volts, 0.47 amps, 0.1. Okay, it's at 0.45, so it's actually doing a good job charging it. And if you pay attention here to my voltmeter, I could show you another little thing just to check to make sure things are actually charging like they should be. If you don't have an ammeter, put your leads on the battery. I'll get you back in the frame here. So red to red and black to black. It doesn't matter too much. And you'll see, there you go. Wow, that jumped from 2.9 to 3.5, and you can see how it's increasing. That means it is getting a good chunk of charge put through it. So I guess we'll let this sit for a short while and charge up. You don't want to let it sit too long. It might overheat the CPU, although it does not actually power the device on when it is in protection mode. So let's just move this off to the side here so I don't knock into it. I'm actually going to not stick it where I just chose to stick it because I have a feeling that's not in a good spot. So let's just move this. We'll just move this over here for now. Okay, so let us introduce the board that I do plan on doing some work on today. And hopefully we'll get this one up and running. I don't really know too much about it besides the damage, and it's kind of hard to see the damage with this view. Let's see if I can maybe zoom in a little bit. Okay, so I don't know. So right here we have a Joy-Con connector, and that's destroyed. We have the fan connector right up here, which is destroyed. He ripped off a speaker connector, and from what I can tell, and we'll see later under the microscope, he actually ripped a mounting pad off. And thankfully, that's just there to provide support. And I should be able to just throw a little bit of solder mask around it and add in some strength to it. But since the other pad's there, it should be pretty good. These things don't really see too much stress, so other things put down. And the last thing, he did mention that the USB port was damaged, and just looking at it with my bare eyes, I can definitely see some bent pins, and the shell is bent. Now, surprisingly, he actually did send this over with a fresh USB port. And from my understanding, he was attempting to replace the USB port himself, but didn't have the proper tools and knowledge, and that's why we see all these ripped ribbon cables connectors. Now, anybody who's worked with these things before knows that you really have to freaking try to damage these things, but if you don't really know what you're doing, I can see why it would happen. But they're very easy to work with, and if you know how they work, it's pretty hard to damage them for the most part, unless you're talking about this guy or this guy, where if you look at these things wrong, they do damage. Oh, looks like the switch just booted on me. Let's just take a look at it real quick. I'm not going to get backlight because I didn't plug the backlight on. I'm going to just check the battery again real quick. If it's in booting condition, I'm just going to unplug it and let it sit. That actually charged a lot faster than I was expecting it to. Usually once you dip below 3 volts, you're looking around, I don't know, about 30 minutes maybe. But this seemed to have popped up a lot quicker than normal, so somehow I've got a knot in my multimeter leads here. All right. One more time. Let's put you into DC voltage mode. Let's zoom back out so y'all can see. Okay, we're going to check again. Black to black, red to red. 3.9 volts. Okay, well, I am going to take this off the charger and unplug it. And we're going to just call it good for now. And that way, once I get this board all patched up, I could just throw it in the case and not have to worry about throwing in some funky spare battery to make it work. It's just all over the place. Oh, all over the place. Okay, so let's unplug the battery to turn the unit off. So I literally have nothing plugged in. Yeah, I did screw it in. Okay. Okay. Well, that is good to go for later. So we'll set that aside, and we're going to get to working on this thing. So these Joy-Cons still need to be tested later for drift. Okay. I don't know. I didn't really advertise them going live, so I doubt I'm going to have anybody stop in today, but that is fine by me because I am just testing things. So let's put this skizzer away real quick. Don't need it. One of the things I'm going to be doing over my Christmas break is really looking at this workbench. I've got some new tools coming in, so I'm going to have to really think about the design. I added a new light and all this other lovely stuff, so... Alright, I am going to need a parts board because the parts I need I don't actually have new. Well, I've got one new of, but that's why sometimes when you get skunked on a eBay buy, you don't really get completely skunked. I mean, you can still usually make a little bit of money off of it, or at the very least, you get some pretty good parts boards to check out and harvest parts from, which is always a good thing, a little money saver. I think, I don't know what I want to start with here. But actually, yeah, that'll work since that's gonna. Okay, we're just gonna pull these connectors off. So let me get this into my vise right here. Gonna need to. I'm gonna do it like that, or do I wanna? I can't do it like that. That might work okay. I actually really like this thing. Another YouTube guy by the name of Micromage Repair had this on one of his links. It's Amazon links, and I picked one up for myself. It's a little expensive, but kind of worth the money in my opinion. Really versatile, solid. So let's get you under the microscope real quick. Oh, I also will have a Stream Deck coming in, so maybe these transitions will be a little bit easier. Let's zoom out. We are here. Let's see. Okay, so there's both connectors that I do need right in front of our face. So let us put manual focus mode on. And then we gotta unlock that screen. Okay. Grab ourselves a little bit of fluffy flux. Yeah. Flux you up. Flux you up. And I think flux that up. Again, flux isn't really needed, but it does help give me a visual indication of board temperature and letting me know how far along things are. I'm going to try to maybe promote myself a little bit real quick, just so that I can maybe get some people in here. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see if that works. Nope. Did not work. Let's see here. See, you know, one thing I don't like is that. Share. There we go. Okay, that makes my life a lot easier. Let's do that. And let's go annoy the shit out of all my video gaming friends here. Let's go and wait, did I press? Yeah, we're good. All my friends are playing Tarkov because the wife is coming up here pretty soon, but I'm just gonna save my desire for that for the evening so I don't burn too fast on it. I do love me some Tarkov. And I do love the group of guys I play with. Last night was not too good for me, but you know, I just went and did other things. So, okay, so we got our hot air around 420 degrees Celsius. Gonna heat from underneath here to not damage the plastic. And then we'll just one by one, we're just gonna pull these little bastards off and plop them on the new board. Now, because I'm using a donor board, I really don't care too much about damaging anything, so. And one of the new tools I do have coming up is a brand new hot air station, which should maybe make these jobs a little bit easier. This little Yihua, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's actually been a capable little air station for $60. But the Atten that I've got coming is going to be a lot nicer. Must be in a thicker part. There we go. Okay. So we got one part off. Let's go grab the other guy now. Same thing, just watch that flux kind of start to bubble. Fortunately, with this one, you don't really have a good look at the soldering pads, so it's kind of hard to tell when it's wet. So I'm just going to grab onto it, and it should just slide right off. Perfect. Perfecto. Both of those came off quite well. Yeah, and you can see in the board I'm about to put up on here, this pad is the one that's ripped off, so we'll work around it. But yeah, you could tell, like, you know, look, very clean pull, no rip pads, no damaged parts. You know, just use some hot air and take your time, and things will work out. A lot of this hobby is frustration, but as long as you just stick with it and kind of just accept the fact that not everything's going to go your way, you'll get better at things. It's all about improving. All about improving. Okay, so let's take a look at this damage board. Huh? Get a closer look here. Get a closer look. Okay, so I do have some people tuned in, so thank you for anybody who's stopped by. Okay, let's actually, yeah, I didn't even think about this. Okay, so let's take a look right up here. And we can see damage connector number 1. This guy right here, he is the fan connector. Connector actually looks good, except he ripped the plastic bail off. There's a little latch that goes right here. That's looking good. That's looking good. So all this is looking fine. This guy, you can see, got absolutely freaking mangled. I think doesn't look like he ripped the pads off, which is great. But moving down, you can see right here. This is where the speaker connector should go. This should be silver, and it's not. There's a little bit there, not enough to solder to, but I think what I'm going to do is maybe just put a little bit of solder mask down after I solder it down, and then cure that up, and then hopefully That should keep everything nice and secure. Everything else looks fine. That's the card reader. That's a CPU buck. Now we get down to our this USB connector. We'll take a quick peek inside for you. Turn the light on so you can see things. Yeah, and you could already tell. Yeah, those pins are not where they should be. Now this job is the shittiest job that I've got to do today. Unfortunately, because it's got a lot of plastic connectors, so heating it from the top is a pain in the ass, which is actually the best way to do it. But even then, on the other side, you've got this little guy. This is your fuel gauge, and it is a BGA chip, and it is very, very sensitive since it's so tiny. So it does tend to kind of float a lot if you're not careful. Can't tell if this is from his attempt at changing this or if it's just factoring. Quick little more of an inspection here. Get that off the screen. I mean, it's pretty standard stuff. I can't tell if this is from just crap that just picked up off my mat. It's just thermal paste, so not a huge deal. It's the home button right there. I mean, you know, it's looking just fine. And this guy right here is what actually controls all the buttons. So if you press a button on the switch, that's what sends the input. Such as these guys right here. These are all the buttons. A, B, X, and Y. Okay, so I think we're good here. I think we're just going to go ahead and start pulling off some parts and getting them replaced. I've got water in there. We're good. Okay. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing we did. Should be fine. Sorry, I know I didn't switch the scene here, but there's really almost no reason to do that because we are going to flip right over. Let's just see here. Let's move you under a little bit. Okay. So it's going to be the same deal as last time. Add a little bit of flux. Actually, I already got some up here. And since I know now the pads are in the front of the thing, we'll do that. Okay. Now, just to verify, we don't really have anything on that side of the board. Yeah, see, it's fine. So this is actually a really good spot to kind of like start learning the technique of heating from underneath because there's really nothing you can damage. Now, of course, it doesn't teach you how to be safe around those components, but you'll get the hang of it easier on this edge of the board. So, you know, if you're looking for a good spot to go practice on, this is definitely a good one to go try. And it's also really easy repair and quite cheap. These connectors are pretty cheap, especially if you order them directly from China. All right, so the same thing. A little hot air from the bottom here. And right now I've got my temperature again at, you know, like around 420, which is like 840, I think, Fahrenheit. Airspeed's at 7 on my device, but that's doesn't mean much unless you're using the same one. Every device is slightly different. Okay, now we should see those solder pads at the front when they're ready. Turn a nice, bright, shiny silver. You can see all that flux just bubbling away, getting hot. Get a little closer to the board, I guess. Yeah, we're looking to be about good. Oop. I usually don't do it like that, but hey, you know, since I don't really need to reuse it, it doesn't matter. I found it anyway. Let's get you off the ground. And then just, you can see. Yeah, looking fine. I don't really see the need to replace that. So we're gonna, I don't really think I need to put fresh solder on, is what I meant to say there. Has this small. I guess it goes like this. Probably better off. Uh-oh. Someone just sent me a message. Unbelievably loud message. We are doing our Secret Santa tonight, so I wonder if that's in regards to that. Actually, really looking forward to that, because it'll be basically my own personal Christmas. Okay, I'm going to turn this off because I see so much better without that LED ring on. Okay, so basically, got a notification from Amazon. I don't think, I wasn't expecting a package to show up today. It's a little weird. Yeah. Oh, well, I screwed up. I'm sorry, Quookie, if you're watching the stream. I will respond to you in a minute. I did not know I was not allowed to self-promote on a certain Discord, so that is my fault. I did not know there was that rule in place. Well, let's I think I gotta keep the light off. I just kind of like it more. Now, some folks might tell me that I should have placed more leaded solder on, but I think we'll be fine. It does wet down a lot easier when you use leaded solder, but there's usually no reason to not use the factory solder if you can get away with it. So you can see, yeah, everything's wetting down good. I think we are now, there we go, sucked into place. I think we're good. I'm happy with that. Looks good to me. Okay, so now we get to move to this guy. So the question here is, I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to use my soldering iron to pull off that leg, and then I'll use hot air to put the part back on. Okay. So I hope anybody out there was watching that World Cup match today, because my lord, that was a game. Could not have asked for a better end of that World Cup, because it was really good. And if you are not a soccer fan, you should be during the World Cup, because it is some amazing stuff. And I am sad that it is over, but I am very happy with the result we got. GG's Argentina. Messi got his World Cup to end his international career. It was just really all around some storybook stuff, and I have the wrong tip on here, so we are going to turn that off. I forgot that I changed this tip out. But the nice thing about this soldering iron I've got is I can hot swap these tips a lot easier than my Hakko. Let me grab this thing off. Okay. Since it barely got the temperature, it's not very hot at all. I'm going to stick my knife tip in. In case you didn't know, this is what's called a knife tip. Very heavy duty, holds up, holds your thermal temperatures. Really, I'm just struggling with words today. Thermal mass. It's got a lot of thermal mass, so it keeps the temperature. that's what I'm looking for. Problem with a lot of the smaller soldering iron tips is they when you press them to the board soaks up all the heat from the tip, so you got to let it sit there for a while. So when you use bigger tips like this one, they hold their heat more, so the work is quicker. And with any type of soldering or electronics repair, one of your goals should be really you don't want to be working on the board longer than you have to. The less work you have to do, the better, and the less time you spend on the board, the better, because you can overheat the board, you can damage sensitive component. There's just a lot of things that can go. So you kind of want to be in and out. You want to be surgical. So we're just going to heat this pad up. And it's taking its sweet time because of reasons. I might end up, there we go. Okay. And I don't know if you could see it on the tip. It's kind of hard to, but little metal piece is now gone. Okay, so I think for now what we're gonna do is I got some. This is what's known as solder braid, and you can use this to suck up and clean off solder that's on the board, so you can replace it with fresh stuff. And since I've got some flux on there, we don't need to add more. We just kind of press it in. You don't want to scrub. You just let things kind of melt down. You just gently rub it across the board. You just kind of want to let it glide over the surface of the board. Yeah, so you can see what happened here is it's actually soldered in now. We can get that fixed, no problem. Just gotta let it heat up, and eventually it'll unstick. Yeah. Okay. So now what we need to do is, all this burnt flux drives me nuts. Amtech flux gets so talked about. Everybody loves it, and I don't. It works great, but see how all this stuff is brown now? Like it just burnt. And I feel like this stuff just burns so easy compared to some of the other fluxes that I've used. It's really freaking annoying because once it burns, it's much more difficult to clean off. And you can't see as well either. If it stays clear, it's fine, but you can see like all this is just good now. Okay, let's dry you off some here. A little hot air around 200 degrees Fahrenheit just kind of evaporates all the rubbing alcohol on the board, so I can put some fresh flux down before I put some more solder on. Okay. We're gonna just give you a little tap-taparoo here with some more flux. Boop. And boop. Okay. Now when you're adding in solder to pads, I'm going to be using this tip again, which I would kind of recommend probably moving to a little bit smaller of a tip, but I can make this work. But you don't really want to touch the iron to the board. You want to get a nice little, see if I can capture some camera. You want to get a little bit of solder on the tip, like that, right? A little ball of solder, and you just want to rub the ball of solder over the pads. So you try to like not touch the board and just let the solder come in contact with the pad. Yeah, and there you go. Yeah, see, now this is going to be the difficult part. Let's see if I can do this, folks. I don't think I'm going to be able to, but oh, wait, there we go. Got one. Get both at once. Yeah, see, I bridged a little bit there. Okay. Okay. Should be good enough to work. I'll preheat that, get those peaks to come back down. That's what I like to do. Is you could see kind of the flux and the solder burned off pretty quick, so it forms these peaks, and it kind of makes it hard for things to lie flat. But if you just heat things up again, you'll see everything kind of bubble back down and settle down closer to the pad. There you go. The little ones did that. Big one's getting there. Should be good though. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Now, take our little speaker connector here. A little sticky. Hairs are getting everywhere because any cat or dog owner will completely understand my scenario or position. Is you don't own pets and expect to live a pet hair free life, no matter what you do. Okay, so you see the front there has the two little legs, which needs to match up with those two little pads right there. Oh, grab my pokey jammy. In case you guys didn't know, the technical term for this thing is pokey jammy in my left hand right here. That's this guy right here. This is a pokey jammy because it pokes and it jams. Poke and poke. Well, yeah, I might have a little too much solder on that ground pad or the anchor pad. God dang it. Only problem, and that's the other reason I don't like this flux so much, is it is so freaking sticky. Sticky. Gotta clean my tools off a lot because it just causes everything to stick to each other. But I will give them, it does work beautifully. Now I can't really see from this angle. I think yeah, we're good there. Just pull you off a little left. I think. Come on, stop sticking. Stop sticking. We're gonna take a risk here. Tilt it up a little bit. Yep, so you could barely see, but I'm off. It's a little too far to the left. And I can tell actually now looking at that broken pad how far I'm off. So maybe if I just a tap-taparoo. Okay, that's better. There we go. That should suck down okay. Let's give her a go, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, hot air, 840 degrees Fahrenheit, which is around 420 degrees Celsius. I should really be running in Celsius, but I'm lazy and don't feel like changing my station. And the only reason I say that is because I would say about 98% of all the repair videos that you're going to see surrounding the soldering station, whether it's hot air or a wand, is going to list temperatures in Celsius. Okay, wetting up nice and good. see it kind of snap into spot. Give it another second or two. Just to make sure everything is good. Okay. Actually, yep. Okay. Don't know if you can see, but how that the solder pads look to kind of change a little bit of color, and that's kind of how you know they've cooled down enough for you to touch the part and verify it is on there good. It is. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab a little bit of 99% rubbing alcohol here. Clean you up some. Now the board is still very, very hot, so watch your fingers. Start doing this. If you don't know, when you use hot air, you're bringing the board up to the temperature that melts the solder. So you're not really directly melting the solder like you would with a soldering iron. You're using the hot air to warm the board up to a point that the solder that sits on it melts. And so solder melts around 630 degrees Fahrenheit, which if you're not too aware of this, is in the realm of, oh my God, that is freaking hot. And the rest of your board soaks up that heat. So if you touch it right after you use hot air, you'll burn the crap out of yourself. Ask me how I know, because I know. Okay, so there's a bunch of flux that's actually in there. Let's see if I can't maybe use my toothbrush here to kind of scrub it out. I'm going to do that. I got a little bit of my pressed air can is almost empty, so it's not very forceful right now. But okay, I think we got the flux out though. That's the good part, because flux will gunk up the connections and cause you to not have a good connection. Oh, yeah, she died. She did, Jim. Yeah, I went from little to none in my air, so I guess trip to Office Max is on my horizon to get another one of those. And yeah, okay. Well, that's the speaker connection. Now, do I want to go and see about using some solder mask here? Now, I've already mentioned how we don't have a pad here. And the purpose of the pad here is to provide some strength to the part. I could it feels pretty good to me though. Let's take it out of the vise here real quick. The only thing I'm just afraid of is that when I go to hook the speaker in, which shouldn't be fine, you could potentially rip the connector off, but I'm going to give her a good old wiggle back and forth here. And I mean, that feels fairly solid. I'll think on that while I fix the other part of this, and then we'll see about whether or not I want to actually strengthen that a little bit more. I think we should be good. I'm gonna just now I got this on a better, more sturdy surface. Better scrub here. Now, I do use no clean flux, which means you can leave it on the board and it won't eat away, but you kind of want to clean it off. It's sticky, gross, and makes things harder to see. Somebody else decides to work on this after you, they're going to curse your name, ask me how I know, but that's looking pretty good. Don't need to go too crazy with it. Okay, so the last part we've got to do, last one on deck, if you'll focus camera. Okay, we've got this guy right here. Now this is actually one of the few connectors I do have a brand new spare for. I do all of my part ordering for the most part on AliExpress. It does take a couple weeks to get here, but see, I think this is the, I believe that is the actual Joy-Con connector, and this should be the, yeah, this is the fake connector. We'll double check, but I could have opted, I guess I did have a spare. I did have a new part for this one, but surprisingly, I've had to fix this fan connector on a few people's boards, so I don't have too many spares of those. And that's why I ordered these new. We'll just dump you out there. I've actually got some Joy-Con connectors for their full-size switches showing up this week. And then I got to look at another round of more of these connectors, because once I start getting down to like one or two left, I put in an order. And that way, by the time I use the rest of them, the new ones come in and my supply is constantly refreshed. It's kind of hard to tell, but like I've got I've actually got a pretty nice sized bag of connectors. My bag of pain, I like to say, because boy, some of these connectors are a real freaking pain. But honestly, one of the reasons that I did buy this is I knew about it's very rare that people on eBay admit they've failed at repairing their devices, and you get a lot of, oh, it just suddenly stopped working and I don't know what happened, or I was trying to install a new whatever and it just stopped working, and then you get to it and half the board is destroyed. And or they list, oh, hey, the joystick is broken, but they don't tell you that they freaking stripped off two of the screws in the motherboard, so you can't even pull the motherboard out. Yeah, it's a lot of fun sometimes. But hey, it's a journey, right? It's all a journey, and you just got to take the good with the bad, and you just try to use everything as a learning experience. Because even if you do kind of get skunked on a board, um, you can use it for something. You can use it for things, and at the very, very, very least, if you absolutely need to, you can sell them for parts, and you can recoup some of your cost. Okay, this one is a slightly more pain in the butt. Um, you can see right underneath here, I got a diode, a couple of resistors, so these have the potential to float off. These capacitors, this transistor right here, all these tiny little capacitors and resistors right here, they can all float off if you're not careful. And on the flip side of the board, it's the same thing. You've got this little capacitor right here is the most damaged, so you kind of want to be pulling this way to avoid knocking into this and all these guys right here. This is the Realtek chip, which is your audio chip. It's honestly not that hard of a repair, as long as you just take your time and pay attention. As with everything in this hobby, just there's no reason to rush. You're not a repair shop. That's the one thing I can say about watching other YouTubers, is that the repair shop guys are great, but you got to understand that they need to crank out their repairs, because otherwise they lose money. And that's great for them because they're a business. But if you're a hobbyist like me, I say focus on doing a really good job. And if it takes you 5 minutes, if it takes you 30, as long as you do it right, you're good. Don't look at their sped up videos, or people who have been soldering for 30 years or whatever. And man, let me tell you, it can really throw you off. Um, you don't have to do that to do a good job. Doing a good job does not mean speed. Doing a good job means you don't destroy things, or solder it on half-assed and miss half your pins and then put it back together and sell it to somebody. Going, I don't know why it doesn't work. I have no idea. Okay, so broken record, hot air on 840 degrees Fahrenheit or 420 degrees Celsius, thereabouts. Okay, let's get the tweezers up a little bit earlier. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna. The flux starting to bubble a little bit. Okay. Again, I don't need to worry about saving the part, so that's kind of why I did it like that. I'd rather just do a nice clean pull rather than. Boy, it just. Let's see if I do this real quick. See, the microscope really hates shiny things. It absolutely refuses to focus correctly. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing. I'm gonna leave the factory solder on, and I'm just gonna reuse the unleaded stuff because I think it's gonna be fine. I really think it's gonna be fine. The board's nice and warm as it is. Oh. As always, folks, it's a lot easier and better if you lift the plastic latch up before you put it on the board. That way you can see the legs. Actually, I didn't need to do that on this one, but it's fine. We'll do it anyway. It won't hurt none. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's see here. This is just kind of. I do so much better with my Poke Jammy. I don't know why. I have much better control over this thing than I do over the tweezers. The only thing I don't like about these Poke Jammies is I really wish. I'm going to kick off my autofocus here. I really wish I could find one with a much finer tip. Now, I know there is a guy that sells them. So if he can get them, I know they're around somewhere else for a more reasonable price. And I absolutely just, I don't. I used to watch a lot of this guy's videos. He's a very competent technician. I think he's a con artist, honestly. And I don't like the way he treats his customers, reviewers, and in his later videos. It's just, I don't know. Like, making fun of people is not the way to go that don't have the skills that you do. And I just don't like that. And I don't like the fact that he, in his store, is blatantly ripping people off. Okay, once again, back to the 420 or thereabouts Celsius hot air. Heating from underneath the board. I cannot wait to get my new hot air station and try it out. I'm very excited about it. I've wanted one for such a long time, but it's so hard to justify the cost of it for what I do because I'm just a hobbyist. This is essentially just something I do for fun. But I did actually make a very good chunk of change off of a Switch sale. Can't tell. Should have put a little bit more flux on, I think. I did see something. I think it's tacked on there. I'm probably going to hit it with a little bit more flux. Yeah. I tapped the board, unfortunately, so I'm going to take a quick look. We're okay. All parts are still there. Okay, so we're going to hit this with just a little bit more flux. I think we're good. We'll test the legs here at the end, but if I don't see things kind of like jump into place like you saw those other connectors kind of jump into place, then I don't know for a fact that they are solid or not. So we'll just tap a little bit more flux in here, back. Kind of see the board's nice and warm if it's melting down some, and we're just gonna same thing. Just let that start to boil. Yeah, you can start to see it bubbling through now. There we go. That's nice and silver. That one all the way in the end towards the auto chip is just... I think we're good though. That time I did see all those pins go from wet to dry, so to speak. And if I zoom in here, get some zoomies, get my autofocus going again. Oh yeah, yeah, we're good. We are good. That is looking fan-frickin-tastic. Okay. Yep, solid, 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 and solid. Perfect. So zoom back out again. And then actually, you know what we're going to do is move you back here. There you go. Get my autofocus going again. Most painful part of this process. Okay, turn this light back on now too. Okay, so we're gonna just clean you off. Whoa, rubbing alcohol, clean up all the residual flux on the board. Now, one thing you gotta do be careful about is you don't want to rip that latch off. So brush in the direction of the latch usually, and you'll be safe. But eventually you do kind of... Oops. Got my Poke Jammy. Can't do that. Okay, so let's just get a little Q-tip action going here. I'm just trying to prevent or try to soak up any of the flux that might have seeped into that connector there. But there we go. Let's just clean up just in case it's got a little bit below. I think we're okay, but Okay, well, that was the easy part. Now we get to do the hard part, which is the USB port. That is the last part I need to replace on this. He did, like I mentioned before, actually give me a spare. It's around here somewhere. Well, I thought it was. Should be around here somewhere because all the rest of the parts are. Screws are there. What did I do with it? Man, I kind of wanted to use his part so I didn't have to use my own. There it is. Okay, he's got several baggies in this project. Okay, we've got that. Did a pretty good job of keeping all the screws in place and whatnot. Now, I will say the one thing about switch light ports is they are, I'll show you. What people do is they sell you the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch Lite USB ports are very, very similar, except for one little thing. And it's something that you can correct and sometimes even bought pre-done for you, but you will pay for that pleasure. And if I can get this thing open here, I will show you in just a second about what I'm talking about. Sometimes these tape reels are a pain in the butt. Come on. And since it's only one, I don't got to worry about preserving the tape. Just have to get the part out. Okay. Okay, so we can see here. Let's see what we got. We put that side by side. You can see the difference here. It's a little hard to do. Maybe I need to go do it on the other side. Let's go do it on the other side. This might be easier to show the difference. We'll line it up hole for hole here, sort of, but you can see that if you look, it's just not going to work. Anyway, the lip of this right here, this is a Nintendo Switch port, and this lip does not exist on this port. So you have to grind this freaking thing off. And today I'm going to try a new method. I usually in the past have done the port, ground the port first, and then, oh no, shoot, I don't have compressed air. I'm just realizing this right now. Well, this is going to make this a little bit more tricky. I don't have compressed air. I do have something I can use because you are going to create a bunch of metal shavings, so you kind of need to make sure they get blown out of the port, and definitely don't want them floating around on your board anywhere because metal shavings conduct electricity and you will fry and short things. So that is not ideal. All right, let's see here what my battery's looking like. I've been streaming for a little while now. I'm down from 100 to 97%. It's still not charging or keeping its battery, so that's not a good thing. Anyway, what we're going to do is I am first going to apply a little bit of leaded solder to these pins right here. Now, what's not visible to you guys, but I do know about, is this row of pins right here. So these are hidden, right? You can see these. You can see this row with your naked eye, but these get soldered to the board as well. This is why you can flip a USB-C port both ways and have it work. You got two rows of pins, so and they sit right here. So normally you could always apply some like low melt solder, which would make this port come off a lot easier. But since you can't get to those pins underneath there, the low melt solder will melt before this stuff does. And if you try to pull the port off, then you're going to rip off all those pads. So what I like to do to make the job a little bit easier is I'll apply a little bit of leaded solder to these pads. Then I apply some leaded solder to the ground and mounting legs. That will allow these parts to wet and melt really good, and then at the same time, it won't take much longer for the hidden pins to get through. So once these go, I'll know that these are pretty short. They could come off pretty soon, and I could just kind of wiggle the port back and forth. And once I could see the good movement back and forth like this, excuse the wiggle, I'll know that the port can just get pulled off. So let's get a proper tip put on this, because this knife tip is just not what I want. Let's see here, been live for an hour and I've only down 3% of battery, so that's better than yesterday. I don't know what happened yesterday. Somebody did tell me, I think it was my buddy Doc, made mention that if you plug in the battery charger after your USB hub, it still tries to pull power from the USB hub. So that could have been why I've been having so much issues. Because I have had a couple instances where I unplugged the battery or the charger from the PC and then back again. So, the real solution is to get a dedicated streaming PC, but I just can't afford that quite yet, even though I want to. But what's going to happen is I am going to upgrade my gaming PC, and the parts from my gaming PC are going to go to a dedicated stream PC. And then hopefully all this jankiness will be slightly better. Okay. Get a sip of water. I've been talking a lot, man. My throat's hurting. Eventually, I'm going to get some music. I tried, but it wasn't working, and I just gave up on it real quick. So I've got to confer with the real streamers and how they do it, and that way I can get some music for y'all. So it's not quite as boring. Hopefully, it's not too boring, and you're enjoying my work, or watching me fumble through my work, I should say. Okay, so let's get some flux. Always. Just a little bit of flux here. Don't need much. I think this thing was dead, right? Yeah, pretty sure this one was dead. Okay. You know what? I'm going to do it this way. I like certain things feel more comfortable for me. That's another thing to point out when you're soldering. Just make things comfortable for yourself. If you do better with the board in this direction, then put the board in that direction. If you do it better with another direction, then use the other direction. This. Again, I don't care if I bridge things here. I don't. I just want to get some solder onto these pads. Some good old leaded solder. Should be good there. I think that's a bridge, is it not? Yeah, it's a huge bridge. That's fine. You just want some good leaded solder on all these pins right here. And then we're going to flip the board over and see all these little ground holes here. Do the same thing. Not bothering with putting into a board holder just yet. Okay. Alright, a little bit more flux squeezed out. Just dab you on. A little dab will do you. Although, I also subscribe to the bigger the glob, the better the job mindset. I do do like using a lot of flux. Okay, that's good. Okay, so let's feed some fresh leaded solder into these holes here. And that should hopefully make our life a little bit easier when we go to remove this port. I have ripped these pads before. It is not a fun repair job. I would like to avoid doing that because that will turn a very simple fix into a very, very painful one. I had a board holder, I wouldn't be so shaky with all this crap, but again, it's just not really necessary right now. Okay, so you can see that nice little bubble of solder. Just press and hold. You kind of want to let it flow through from this side to the other to mix as much as you possibly can with the existing solder. Yeah, see how it's nice and shiny? Okay, so we should be okay there. And same thing for all the rest. I'm just going to come on in. Let it flow from your tip into the joint. You can see the board heat up, and all the rest of the solder start to kind of melt down. Okay, and now we got to get the second little leg there. Okay. Let's give it a couple of seconds, just kind of wiggle back and forth. You can see everything kind of forms like that one big little blob right there. Should be good. Same thing for this hole. Pay attention, you could actually kind of see the solder flow off the tip into the hole, and that's how you know that you've got things up to temperature and things are moving for you. And just back and forth, just let it kind of flow through from the top to the bottom. Okay, doesn't really matter what things look like. And this one I got to flip around so I can get to a more comfortable position. And the last one, let's clean that. I like a nice clean tip sometimes. It doesn't really matter all that much, but makes it easier for me to see things. I don't know if you can tell, but I can see this. You can see the solder kind of like chunk from the tip into the pad or hole. All right, we're good there. So just to make my life a little easier, see, I just don't like all this burnt stuff lying around. You get it now, it's a lot easier to deal with. I don't have to go too crazy because I'm probably going to hit it with a toothbrush anyway. You can always just kind of heat things back up again. If you do have a problem with stubborn flux, a little bit of heat to melt it back down again. You don't even need that much heat. You don't even need to get to the temperature that solder wets at, just enough to kind of make things liquidy. Yeah, sorry about this. I do need to get it. Eventually I'll figure out a more stable solution, mounting solution for this microscope. Right now it's hooked directly on this wobbly ass workbench. So anytime I bump into it, you see it on the camera, and it really annoys the crap out of me, but there's not much I can do about it. Okay, so there we go. That's good enough. Now comes the fun part. So let's get you into the board holder. Well, actually, I didn't need to do that. I forgot, since I'm heating it from the bottom like this. Okay. The autofocus to pick up on you again. Surprisingly got that first go. You know, I am going to add some more flux. Again, I do like to see the stuff kind of start to bubble and flow to let me know what my temperature's looking like. So we'll add some here. Kind of try to get it in underneath so those hidden pins might get a little bit of love. This is a lot, way too much flux, but that's fine. We'll save the rest of that for later because I'm going to need it. Okay, so broken record time back at 420 degrees Celsius. We're thereabouts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat until I get a good amount of wiggle on this port. All right, ground pads are melting down nice and good. Which means very shortly this port should start to wiggle. I don't really care about melting plastic because we're not reusing it. You don't want to force anything though. It should just all start to move on its own. I saw a little bit of a wiggle there. There we go. Just dropped right off. Dropped right off. Got a little hotter than I wanted it to, but honestly, let's take a look at the pads here. Hard to tell because it won't focus. But I think we had a clean pull. What do you think? Let's just bring you in. Looks good to me. Let's grab and flip the board. And take a look at the other side. And we could see a big old chunk of plastic. But, most important part, come on, autofocus. None of those pads are ripped, which is amazing. These pads are very, very sensitive, and I mean very sensitive. In fact, I think it was the very first port repair I ever did. I blame myself. It is very possible that the person before me, when they damaged the port, ripped the pads in the process of damaging the port, but end result is when I pulled off the port, literally almost every single one of these row of pads right here gone. And there you go. A little piece of plastic came right off. That's the other thing that really kind of sucks about soldering these USB ports is there's all these little plastic bits inside the port. So you got to do the job pretty quick because even that little thing in the middle there that actually holds all the pins for you to plug into will melt or warp and prevent the plug from actually going in. There's all this plastic on the outside of the port, plastic on the bottom, and you can see it's all melted and gross looking right now. But when you're pulling them off and when you're pulling damaged ports off, you just don't care, because who cares about a broken port that's not going to be used again. But now, when I go to use my actual port, which I lost, there it is. We'll put that in the focus here real quick. You can see, yeah, you can see all that plastic, all this plastic right here. And then all this plastic on the top. So it's kind of like a pride thing. You did an excellent, perfect job when you can solder the port on and not melt or warp any of the plastic. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take a little bit of fresh leaded solder, and we're going to just apply it. We're not going to really care about bridging for the time being. I am going to care about getting my freaking autofocus off so you can see what I'm doing. Sort of. Again, this tends to not like shiny stuff. So let's try this again here. That's probably as good as I'm going to get it for y'all for right now. So let's try this again. Basically want to go in the vertical directions of the pad. You don't want to really scrub across them. They are kind of weak. All I'm really doing is just kind of mixing a little leaded solder in right now, because coming up next is more flux. Oh, that looks horrible. It really does. More flux. And some fresh wick. Okay. Now we are going to take our solder wick here and just clean these pads up. Again, vertical movements. You don't want to scrub. You just want to just let it glide. Don't have to press hard. And if you get stuck to the pad, just let everything heat up until you can start to see it to move again. And if you absolutely need to, you can use a little hot air. This is the first time I've actually struggled with this in a while. Come on. Boy, it is not happy, huh? There we go. Sometimes it's just easier to do things one-handed. Okay, so now let's do this. Clean up so I can see a little bit better. Yeah, you can see how those things are nice and flat. I'm probably gonna try to get some of this up real quick. All right. The reason I do things the way I do things is there's a couple ways to put the port on, and some people actually prefer leaving the ground legs, the mounting points right here, filled with solder. I think it's easier just to clear these out and then just fill them in later, because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be top heating Looked like I thought I melted this port some, but I think it's just a crappy focus right now. I will be top heating this and dropping it in, and I think the less that I've got to heat up and worry about getting wet, the better. And then these pads will wet a lot quicker than these guys will. And then just get everything in nice and solid, and then come back later and put some fresh solder from underneath the board, and you're good to go. Okay, so let's. So the reason that I do this is because when I tin these pads now, now that if I get a little bit of extra solder that goes into these mounting holes, it's fine because I'm clearing them out last. But if I clear them out first and then get solder back into them, then I've got to clear them out again. And as I mentioned at the start of the stream, the less work you do, the better. So I would rather just suck the solder out once than twice, so to speak. So let's again, we're going to follow the same thing. I usually use a different tip for this, but we're going to try this chisel tip today and see if maybe this is going to be okay. So we're just going to rub that little solder ball over the pad here. Yeah, see, it's just really not cooperating with me much here. Let's get you back in the frame. You can kind of see some of them got some solder. And see how I just got some on that pad right there? That's fine. So I just need just a touch more here. And I will be applying some solder to the legs of the USB port as well. There we go. A little more. This guy in the end needs some. It's usually these end pads that give me the most problem. These guys especially. Now I've yet to really have the USB port go on where I didn't have to do a bunch of freaking rework on it to get it to be perfect. So I fully expect that to still be the case here, but we'll see. Maybe today will be the first day where everything just goes on immediately and immaculately, and I can claim great success. Okay, some of those are still looking a little thin. Let's grab you back in the autofocus. I might just go over them one more time. Yeah, you could see like just not really all that good of a job. Not perfect, not horrible, but I could do better. So, back again, do a little bit more flux. And it's not my, maybe I should pull up my JLO2 tip and do it right. This tip's a little chunky. I think, in fact, I probably will do that. So let's just get some flux on this right now. I don't know. Let's just try again. Let's try again. I think my biggest issue is I just can't really see the solder ball, and it's kind of like more towards the middle of the tip. Of course now, because I didn't turn my autofocus off, it's making my life miserable. So that's looking a little bit better. Looking a little bit better. Do have a bridge I gotta take care of, but that's not a big deal. a lot easier now than when you've got things soldered on. Okay, so, okay. Okay, so let's clean that one little, this guy right here. Okay, that looks fine. So now we got to flip the board over. This part I hate. I always have to use a little bit of hot air. But we're gonna try again, just because I'm a glutton for punishment. So we'll try one more time just to do it the straight manual method before I instantly give up and go back to using hot air. And actually, for this, I think I am going to use a board holder. It does make life a lot easier. If I do it like this, we should be good. Do I do it another way? And that feels a little bit more solid. Okay. Okay, so we're going to have to get you back into focus. Okay, I didn't want to go check my, sorry, this is, just randomly testing this. See, now I'm down to 90% battery, and I have been streaming for 1 hour and 33 minutes, so that's 10% over an hour 33, which is still really, really bad. Oh, I still have my microscope. I mean, my microphone. I do. Okay. Let's grab you off. And we shall go ahead and think we'll just start. Yeah, okay. So once again, make my life a little bit easier. And this is definitely where flux helps a lot. I'm going to add some flux to all these points just because you want the flux to flow from the through hole to the actual wick. You can use a solder sucker if you feel. They also do make the soldering guns, which is a piece of equipment I will be investing in at some point. I just haven't at the moment. Soldering guns have their own pain points, but man, if you do a lot of through-hole soldering and component removal, through-hole component removal, it's kind of a necessary evil because, man, using braid and solder suckers and through-hole stuff is some of the most mind-bendingly awful stuff ever. Okay, let's see if we can get this to work. I don't really have much hope I'm gonna get all of this out without some hot air help, but we're gonna try. So I just tend to do like I'm doing now. I cut off a piece of wick and then just one hand it and see it. Oh, look at that. Well, that one went gorgeously. And you can see the wick through the hole, so you know you did a good job. Okay, same thing for the other side. Okay, that one went. Well, I will say I do have an easier time with those because there's far less solder. But the ones in the back are a little bit more of a pain. And the other thing you got to worry about is you got this resistor here, capacitor here, all these MOSFETs. You can kind of knock into things or solder things to a pad, the test pads above, and just all this stuff. And now the other thing that sucks about these is that I don't know if you noticed on the other side, but how much solder is in these pads compared to the other ones. So there's a lot to heat up and wet, which is usually why I've got to use the hot air gun. And I can already tell right now it's going to be the same story today. It's just going to want that hot air. Just that little bit of extra heat kind of helps things flow. Yeah. Now, I have noticed in the past that sometimes the only thing that's left in these through holes is just a very, just tiny little bit. But yeah, that's pretty solid right there. So now what I do, grab some more fresh wick here. And place it like so. Probably should have put some more flux on the board. I think we'll be all right. Grab my hot air in the left hand, soldering iron in the right, because I am a righty. Then I kind of hold the, and then just add a little bit of heat. Oh, Lord. Well, I just did exactly what I should have done. Can you see all that mistake I just made? Son of a gun, Justin. Oh, I hate this fucking job. I should have done this from the other side. Yeah, now we gotta watch me rebuild a fuel gauge. Yeah. Oh, that hurts. That effing hurts. No, at least the good thing is that I don't have to worry about the fuel gauge when I put the freaking thing back on. Cool. Well, that was fun. Let's just take a look at all the damage I did. Oh, well, I guess now it's time for the reminder of this channel is called An Idiot Repairs, and I am in fact an idiot. That is the fuel gauge that I just dumped off, which feels good, man. And just pinged off the board, which is okay. I actually do have fresh ones of these. I don't think. I think that I just damaged that. I don't know. I can't tell. Well, the good thing is I can fix all this. Bad thing is I don't want to. Okay. Well, did that? Nope, it did not solder itself on. All right, so we're gonna lower air temps or airflow down just a little bit. Hope here's maybe I can get both of these to suck back to their proper pads. Well, there's one. Capacitor right here is gonna be all pain in my butt, huh? Okay. 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 Oops. Come on. Okay. Well, let me just do this with two hands versus one. Sometimes I get a little stubborn, but being stubborn is bad because that means you're gonna freaking fling something off into the unknown. And actually, one of my biggest pet peeves in this hobby is losing or destroying perfectly good components because I'm just impatient or try to do something stupid when if I just take my time, I wouldn't have destroyed or lost it. Now, these things are a little fluxy. I might just, yeah, there we go. Might end up having to clean off this tool. Oh. I could just, what I could do here is actually just wet the solder pad down and let the solder grab it, but I'm a little nervous about, yeah, see, come on, just try to get to maybe like, there we go. Let me get these tools defluxified. Maybe this will be a little bit easier. Probably not. My guess is no. And I just did exactly what I said was going to happen. Oh, I could see it though. All right, let's just do this the easy way here. So you're saying there's a chance? There was not a chance. Never a chance. The big issue with this is that I don't have the proper grip on this tool. I need to get up a little bit higher, or I will literally burn my fingers off. Now, I gotta be real careful I don't fling it off the edge of this. All right. Almost did it again. Basically, there we go. Should be able to do this now. Did not grab on. Why do 0201 components hate me? Hey, well, okay, we're gonna try again here. This is a kind of a lesson in futility, but yeah, same thing. Oh, I got lucky. All right, let's see if we can get this to work now. Nope. Okay. And she gone, Jim. God dang it, I could still see it. Okay, let's try this. This is probably not the way to go, but get a little bit of more flux on here. It might stick on a little bit better when I go to heat it. Problem is I'm just not coordinated enough. Some people are very good at holding these things down with tweezers while they hot air, and I got to keep practicing that. I'm not that good at it. Yeah, let's see if maybe. Sucked it the wrong way. Okay, we got to maybe take a little break here for a second. Let's get this guy on. My issue is that again, I just did not have my hands right on that tool, and I was burning my little fingers off. What's going to happen here is I don't have enough solder on this other pad. I don't believe this to work properly. I got too much solder on one pad, not enough on the other. Okay, let's see here. Can I do this without flinging it off the board? Kind of like need to start high up, get the flux to kind of wet down a little bit and hold the part in, and then just gradually move closer till the solder wets and surface tension does the rest for you. If you come in with too high of an airflow, you're just gonna cause a component to fly off the board. You can see the one pad wet. There we go. Should be okay. We'll come back on that one, I think. But we should be good. Okay, we're good there. Now this pad, I kind of wanted to, I did want to add a little bit more solder to it so that this component might suck into it a little bit better. Okay. All right, now I got the soldering iron heated up here. Let's put a little bit more solder on this one little pad right here. There we go. So hopefully when I move this down, we can have it grab on by a surface tension a little bit easier. Okay. Still needs to. Okay. Good. So, just needed to separate it from the resistor right there. And then we could try this again here. Again, I'm so much better with the frickin' Pokey Jam than I am with the tweezers, but I think we're gonna stay like that. I want to kind of, there we go. That's more how I want it, just because I don't want it to suck into that resistor again. And now, just trying to keep my eye on it. It's moved a little bit, but that's okay. Hopefully that solder will just suck it right back to the pad. There we go. Moved on in. Alrighty, folks. Well, I'm going to leave the fuel gauge off for the time being because it's a headache now that I didn't want to have to deal with. But since it's that happened, we're just gonna roll with it and do a little quick cleanup here. board a little extra support so I'm not flexing anything while it's hot. Can I get solder in that hole again somehow? Yeah, all said and done. I mean, yeah, it was a pain in the butt, but hey, we fixed it. It sucks because I charred this board a little bit. And now I think I got solder back in that hole too, which really doubly sucks because I don't know how that even happened. The wick just like touch it? It did. No, it's fine. It just flux. All right, we'll come in here with the toothbrush. Oh, I guess all this is just burnt flux. I thought I charred the board. We'll come in here with the toothbrush, clean all this crap out. All right, I'm going to take 30 seconds and just walk away. It always helps for me to take a break here and there. Ugh, that was just not what I expected this to be, but also expected this to be because I never do a switch port repair without some freaking form of damage. But hey, what can you do? What can you do? It's 3 o'clock. Hopefully I can just get this poured in before the Secret Santa festivities kick off tonight. Okay, it's a nice little break. Check my messages. Question remains now. Let's just while we're waiting for this soldering iron to cool down so I can put a better tip on. We'll clean the board up a little bit. Yeah, look at all that. All that junk inside my trunk. We'll come through with the fine tooth comb here at the end, and once I get the board on more stable ground, I'll have a bit of an easier time cleaning it off. Yeah, I can see a little bit of, can't tell if that's flux or charring. It did take me a little bit of heat to get this off, but I don't know. I'm going to, part of me wants to do this from the other side, but I know that's not good. I think I am going to take it out of the board holder though. Might give me a little bit better purchase. Actually, do that. I don't want to lose this thing here. Let's see. Okay, so we don't want to repeat what we just did. So maybe I do need to keep it in a board holder. I don't know. I think we're okay. All right, let's try this again. Hopefully this time with less frickin' rework needed. You are watching an idiot. I do idiot things, including wiping components off the board. Okay. Get that going. Let's try this. I'm gonna go switch to this horseshoe tip. So I actually had really good, I don't know why I didn't use this to start with. I think it was this guy. This guy? Yeah, this guy. It's nice and flat. So this is a horseshoe tip. Let's see if I can't get you in the. You can kind of see like how it's got that nice flat tip right there. It does make working with the desoldering grate a lot easier. So I'm going to remember from my mistakes that I forgot about from last time, and you definitely want more of a, you want to keep this vertical. Okay. I already see. Yeah. It just, these things just hate me. And I don't know why. I literally don't know why. I always struggle so much with them. So I'm coming closer to those components again. And those components. Let's see. All that. It's still left in there. And it's so, I don't know why I struggle. Let's get some fresh wick. Maybe we'll I mean, this time I'm not going to scrub too crazy light. There we go. Still have a little bit left on that one side. That's generally been my experience in how this goes. See, I can do it without freaking wiping off half the damn components. I just got to pay more freaking attention. So, again, folks, remember how I was talking about taking your time and paying attention? Yeah, that's why I don't. Alright, I need to get this back into a board holder, I think. Still have just a little bit left on that one side. Might get away with just the soldering iron. Put a little bit more flux on. Since that fell over, maybe just take that little dollop there. There we go. Yeah, that should be fine. Let's see here. Maybe. Kind of want to start seeing the flux of the braid get a little silver, but Nah, it's the same. Some people say, "Well, just feed some more solder through the hole," and I think that always makes things worse. It's end up back at square one in a sense. So what we'll try here is a smaller square of braid, and then again we'll need more flux. And this all ties back into, like, this is a good example of I'm spending way too much time on this. Board's getting pretty hot. I mean, we're still within pretty acceptable ranges, but you just don't want to be spending as much time as I'm spending on this board. It should be really quick fix. I just don't. I always struggle with these through holes. I don't know why. No matter how much I practice, like, it's a literal nightmare for me. I guess just more practice is really all I need. But for now, there we go. Okay. Thank freaking God. God, that was getting annoying. Alright. So, kind of bubbling up my silicon mat here. Let's see, I've been going for 2 hours, 8 minutes, and my battery power is 93%. Oh, maybe I'm doing, I don't know. Maybe old Doc Gonzo 502 suggestion was a good one there. All right, this one's a little bit easier because there's far less components in the area. So I think, though, just to head things off at the pass, we're just going to go ahead and just start with hot air. The problem that we're probably going to get into is I don't think that this, judging from how much solder I put through these legs, I don't know if this is going to be enough braid, but we'll try. A little EMI, this little choker EMI filter. I've got spares, but again, I just don't want to replace components if I don't have to. So we'll go ahead here. Okay. And then hot air. Yeah, we're going to need to get more wick. Can I already tell? Which is fine. It is coming up a little bit easier. Still too much wick, but I'd rather more than not enough. Okay, again. Press the braid down. Oop. Grab my hot air. And we're done. Okay. Hallelujah. 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 Board is hot. Board is hot. Scrub off the mat there. Okay. Float off any more components this time. I'll flip you around, check you out. Well, that looks mangled, doesn't it? Why? Why is that melted? I guess I'm potentially replacing a battery port today. Interesting. Okay. Well, is what it is, I suppose. Can't remember if that was part of the damage or not. I think it was. Just lightly scraping some of this burnt flux real quick. Because I hate this. This stuff is so junky. Yeah, good enough. Yeah, that's gonna need to get replaced for sure. It's pretty fucked. Yeah, I don't like that. Alright, well, shoot. Is there anything sensitive in there, so this? Yeah, there really is, huh? All this stuff is right underneath. Oh, dang it. Okay. I mean, kind of pointless for me to be doing this now because I'm gonna have to come back in here later and do it again. But anyway, what is what it is. Boy, that battery port is just... Yeah, it's not looking good, huh? I mean, it might work, honestly. Sadly, I doubt it, but it might work. There's really nothing wrong with it besides being charred at the back. Yeah, it works. You know, I'm just gonna leave that. I mean, I could fix it, but I'll just take another look at it real quick. Yeah, it's definitely melted, but okay. So now the fun part comes here. All right. So I like to use a little bit of thermal pad and some Kapton tape, and even though this connector is already a little melty, what we're gonna do here is, these things are cheap, right? Very, very cheap. And these are silicon thermal pads. And what I end up doing is I cut some of these to size here, but you don't need much. That. Grab all these used up wicks. Okay, let's see here. Clean out this mat from some of this burnt flux real quick, just so I'm not transferring it to the board potentially. Let's see here. Now we need. So I'm sorry, you're out of focus. Put you back in here. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to take this little silicone pad I've got, and we're going to place it on top of the plastic components that we don't want to melt, like so. Got to arrange it so. Okay. And I basically, I'm sorry, this is off camera, but kind of cut to the shape of the board a little bit better. Okay. All right. Now, before when I was talking about that fuel gauge, this is the part that you got to be really careful with if you still have it on there, because if you wrap the tape around the fuel gauge, you're going to squeeze the fuel gauge, and what's going to happen is you'll squeeze all those little solder balls out and basically do what I did. But you could avoid all of that if you just tape it right. And so I've learned that if you go across the board rather than up and down, it's a little bit better. So actually, I do kind of 2 layers of tape here. All right, I'll show you here and get this all on the frame. It's a little difficult to do underneath the camera. All right, so we're gonna just do that like so. Okay, and then see like how I got that. See right there is where the fuel gauge normally goes. So now that we got that like that. Okay. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put some flux on those USB port pads, and then we're going to heat from the top until they get wet, and then we're literally just going to drop the port on top. Now, I say all this, I'm going to tin the pads of the USB port first. So let's get that into the microscope real quick. Gotta change my tip out real fast, but in the meantime, let's do it like that. Get you a little bit. This step isn't 100% necessary. I do it just for peace of mind. It makes things a little easier. I'm just waiting for the soldering station to cool down a little bit before I change the tips out. And it's the same concept though. You just get a ball of solder on your soldering iron, little flux on the port, and then rub the ball of soldering iron, or the ball of solder, on the iron instead of the actual tip to lay the solder down. Did I put that one away? I did put that one away. Or no, this is it right here. Okay. So getting closer to prime time here, folks. Getting closer to prime time. I just hope I don't screw up the port, which I kind of had with the way things have been going this weekend for me. Would not surprise me. I historically struggle a little bit with port replacements anyhow. I'm just going to take a little bit of flux again. Helps the solder flow. Just get all these pins, a nice little blob of flux on them. Alrighty. Soldering iron has let me know she's ready. So we shall grab her. Clean the tip. Just the tip. Promise. Okay. Get a little bit of solder on the tip. And just do what I said. If you get a bridge, just work diligently, clear it off. Might be bridge there at the end. So we'll just give her a tap-tap-a-roo. I think that's just flux. Looks to be good to me. I think the overhead light's going to make this worse, but we'll try. Yeah, we're okay. And those last two I was a little worried about, but that's just flux, I think. Give her a tap with the pokey jammy here. See if that is actually, no, that is a bridge. So that's why, well, is it a bridge? I can't tell. Yeah, it looks to be like it is. So let's give her a tap-tap-a-roo here. Oh, clean the tip too. You don't want to deposit more when you're trying to remove. Okay, that's good. I bridged the other ones now. Let's find out now. That looks fine. Yeah, we're good here. Okay. So let's see. We could do this several ways, but I'm gonna do it my way, which is I'm gonna do the hot drop method. Let's get this board into a vise here. I don't like it when it presses up connectors though. Yeah, I'm just gonna do this a different way. I think that should be good. And it's still against the connector. There's just this is such an awkward job. That one's better. It's not my favorite position, but yeah, see? It just as soon as you squish it down, it gets all wonky. I don't like that. It just did that. Okay, what about you? So I don't really need, I'm putting pressure on it, so I don't, okay, that should be good. Okay, grab you. Get you in frame. Okay. I'll zoom out. I do not. Okay, we should be good there. Let's get a little bit more focus, maybe. About as good as I'm gonna get it. Okay, so we're gonna do this. We're still gonna do some nice rapid air movement. I'm gonna bump my speed back up to 7 again. So we're gonna do the hot drop. Like I said before, I normally grind this port down before I do this part, but I'm gonna try the other way where I install it and then I grind it off. So just do a quick dry fit. See how that goes in nice there. Okay. Shoot. I've got myself twisted up here with my soldering iron. Need to fix that real quick. There we go. Now I should be able to pull that hot air wand out. A little awkward. All right, so I'm trying to keep the air moving rapidly. We do still have those plastic connectors, and the silicone will do a good job, but it can still melt through it if you're not careful. Since we're using leaded solder, it should hopefully melt down pretty quick. Okay. Okay. Not too bad to start, I don't think. I'm just going to give it a couple more seconds to cool. I have had issues in the past where it was still a little liquid and I nudged it and it just desoldered all my work. So, nope, see, did not work. Okay. Try again. Huh. Oh, wait a minute. Am I an idiot? I think I didn't have my... Yeah, folks, I don't think I had my soldering iron at the correct temperature, or my hot air station at the correct temperature, because I didn't inform you that I'm on hot air. We are at 840 degrees Fahrenheit. We're around 420 degrees Celsius, thereabouts. So let's try this again here. Oh yeah, that's much better. We'll just call that last little trip a preheat. How about that? Get that board nice and kind of warmed up. There we go. Now we're getting nice and wet. I think. Maybe. Not too sure. Not too sure. Not too sure. Oh yeah, baby. So we've at least got something soldered here because you can see it's the port's no longer jiggling. Alrighty. We're going to leave the silicone on for now, and then we're going to go through and we're going to do an individual pin check, and then what we do is a solid test on the pins. If we see any movement, then we know that, we know that we've got more soldering to do. So we're going to let the board cool down for just a second. I need to get a sip of water anyway. That went on pretty good. Usually don't have that much difficult time getting to this stage. However, the solid test is usually when I freaking fail. So we're gonna take a look and get some more focus for y'all. looking somewhat decent. I see that second leg from the left is looking a little funky, but I think it's good. Okay. See that? Not solid. Not solid. Not solid. Solid. Not solid. Not solid. Not solid. Yeah. 100%. This needs to get redone. That's fine. I always, 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 always struggle with this part. In fact, I think I'm probably going to try from, well, no, I don't want to do that because yeah, see, look at this. See, son of a bitch, man. Right here. Fucking melted. Yeah, you know, we're gonna try again with the hot air. This part always sucks for me. I don't know why. I just I always seem to struggle with this. It's not a hard job, it's just not easy either. So, you know, I'll zoom out a little bit here. Maybe a little bit more, a little bit more close-up view. I can see the solder a little bit better. I kind of had a good feeling I didn't get that shit. You know, and I don't, you know, actually, I say this, I'm going to put this on a table some here. Or do I don't feel comfortable with the way it's sitting in the vise because right now I need less flex, and I'm getting a lot of flex because I have to push down on this port, so that might be okay. That's better. Okay. Autofocus. Focus. Okay, so let's put some more flux down. I don't have too much time left with y'all. Hopefully I can get this at least soldered on and before I call it a day. I actually like to end the stream properly for once. Okay, so hopefully this time, where's my other tweezers? I don't know if I should use tweezers or my Pokejammy. Kind of like tweezers, just because I can, yeah, see, fuck, I'm gonna have to readjust here. Okay. Rapid air movement so you don't melt the plastic, even though I already did it. We're pushing down the port so that the pins are gonna make contact. Let's see here. Did see the board got hot enough so that little pin 1 notifier wetted. That's usually a good sign. It means that everything else did it too. Solid. solid, 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 solid. Hopefully that's not bridged. I don't think it is. If it is, I'm going to have to tap that with a soldering iron. Looks like it's okay. We'll clean it off and take a look. I think that did it. I think that did it. And now we look. Okay, there all the rest of the connectors are on the side. I mean, that one was already damaged before we started this. Unfortunately, it still bothers me. But this guy's straight from factory good. Okay, so now we got to just do some cleaning here so that we don't leak or leave any flux in the port, because fluxy ports are bad. I have a feeling I gotta check. We'll do a check when I do my short test here. I'll show you that little tool in a minute. But I gotta check the actual USB plug on the inside of the port, make sure that that didn't warp, which I don't think it did. The way I like to do that is I've got a little breakout board that I use to test the all the pins to make sure that I'm not bridged, and that we've got continuity. And if that clicks, then I know that I didn't warp anything. Now this guy right here, I was a little worried about him. I think I did bridge him actually. Oh, I got away with that one. Not the greatest soldering job. I wish they would have. I wish they would have. Wish they would have settled a little bit better. I don't know why it didn't suck down like they did. But see, that's still solid. I gotta turn that. See, I'm doing autofocus. Oh, this is so painful because I've got no room. Now everything's all screwed up. Sorry for the wobble, guys, but I just want to check here. We're good. Yeah, see, like, yeah, no movement whatsoever. Okay. So, for the first time in a long time, we get to push the microscope aside. I get to switch you back to my handy dandy overhead camera. We'll show you this little tool here, which you might not be aware of. This thing I'm about to show you is a USB-C breakout board right here. And what this thing allows me to do is test every single one of the pins. So let's zoom in a little bit here. And the first thing I do is I make sure I get a good click. I do. One more time. I think we are good. Okay, so I don't know if you can see, but see, each of these little pads is labeled for the corresponding pin on the inside. And what we're really going for to start is we wanted to make sure that A, nothing's shorted to ground, and that B, nothing is shorted to the 5-volt line, because either scenario is crap. Hey, I found my missing screwdriver bit. Look at that. Thank God. I was worried about that. This little multimeter has a magnet in the back of it. It seems to like suck up all my tools, and then I lose them, and where the heck did this go? And then 3 days later, when I pick up the multimeter, I look underneath it, and there it is. So, cool. All right, we are in continuity mode. If you don't know what continuity mode is, it means when I have a circuit or touch my leads together like so, it makes a beep. What we don't want to hear is beeps between lines. Now, the shield is also the ground, so that's good to find. But see, we just go down the line, and just after the ground, we just want to make sure that we've got no beeps. And that's another ground pad, so that's okay to beep. Shield to shield is good. Shield to ground is good. These are some data lines. It's VBus, which is power. Okay. That's ground again. Great, that's looking good. So now we've got the VBus line right here. Now VBus should have continuity between itself and on both sides, and it does. But it should not have continuity anywhere else, and it doesn't. That's another that's the VBus line, so that's okay to beep. These are data lines right here, which you definitely don't want to be shorted to. CC is what tells the chip that it's plugged in. That's another VBus line and ground, and then there's a yes. So this little pad that I'm touching right here, this is where the power comes into the board, flows up through here, and goes to M92. So if I hear this, we know we're good there. Okay, alrighty. That is good news. Now that we've got that soldered on, we have to go back to the fuel gauge that we just decided to wipe off the frickin' board and get that fixed. So back under the microscope we go. We're going to get the board back into the board holder. Do this, I think. Okay, we don't really need too much pressure on this thing. All right. I'll focus again. I'm going to zoom you out. Okay, we're needing to focus on this area of the board. Now I'm going to do something that you really shouldn't do, but because those balls are looking okay, is that bridged? Is it okay to be bridged? I think that's okay to be bridged. Got another switch light board out here somewhere, don't I? Yeah, right here. So look at this real fast. Fuel gauge. Yeah. So I think. Remember I was talking about when you leave flux on the board, how it makes a mess for everything else? Well, now you're seeing why I say that. Because all this is just flux that you're seeing. That shiny stuff is flux. Huh. Well, kind of looks like that whole frickin' point of me keeping the resistors separated from the capacitor was all for naught because they are on the same line. Most likely smoothing out power. And we'll do a quick continuity test right quick here, which go here and then here. Oh. Okay. Is that not what I thought it was? Oh, no. It should be... Do I have a test pad? Yeah, right there. Okay, that's the test pad I need. That guy right above the current sense resistor should come down to there. So I'm not getting continuity to the resistor. Just want to double check on that because I couldn't really see what I was doing. So we've got continuity to this capacitor, or we should. Or we don't? What the heck? Okay, well, I'm a little worried now, but No, they're not bridged and they're on the same, but we're fine. We're fine. I don't know what I'm complaining about. We're fine. Okay, so the fun part. I just lost that fuel gauge, didn't I? Nope, there it is. One, this thing is painfully tiny. I wish I could hear. I'll show you actually how tiny this is. This is my it's a fingernail, right? Okay, that's my index finger. That's the size of the chip. If that doesn't show you how tiny. Oh, look how dirty my fingernails. That doesn't show you how tiny this chip is. I don't know what else will. This thing is freaking tiny. So while I'm here and I can still see, we're kind of looking for a little plus sign, and the plus sign indicates the first pin. And then I line that pin up with a marking on the board so that we have pin 1 in the correct position, which is very important because otherwise you might have voltage going to a place where you don't want voltage to go. Evaporate some of that alcohol. All right, maybe just wipe some of that off actually. Oh wait, did I chip? No, I didn't chip that. Okay, just pressing into my skin. I'm actually pretty sure it goes like this. Now, pin 1 to the bottom right. Now what we're looking at is, see this guy right here? He's indicating that this is pin 1, so the plus should go there. Now, I think I've got this right. Maybe. Put you on the board. Maybe the overhead will help on this one. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. No, I think it's just like that. I think I actually just saw that plus sign. Yeah, see the plus signs right there. So what I'm doing is bad practice. Do as I say, not as I do, and reball these chips or use a fresh one. And the reason I say that is because generally with the larger chips especially, you need all the balls to be like the same height and whatnot, and you don't want to have more solder on one than the other because they might merge and connect the pads underneath and blah 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 blah. So it's really in your best interest to just honestly just um, start with a freshie, so to speak. I have them. This is kind of more of like challenge mode for me, I guess, which I don't know why I'm trying to challenge myself because I'm mentally challenged, so I'm challenged enough. We're just basically the larger tips. The nice thing is you kind of push on them, and they like you could feel when they're in the right spot. But these small ones just not able to, unfortunately. What we're gonna do is we're gonna drop our airflow down to like 5, a little bit below 5. Start high, go low. Hopefully get the tack on. Then I'm gonna throw a bunch of flux in there. And once I got the flux in there, um, we'll hit it again with more air, get closer, and then that should hopefully reflow everything. So these things are tiny. They do tend to fly up the board, so you got to kind of start up high. Just you can see how it wiggled just a little bit right there. Let it settle into place. Slowly work your way closer. See kind of the flux starting to melt on the board. got a little canted there. Let's see here. Did it get soldered on at least? Okay, that's a good sign. So we've got a tack, but it's not looking good. See how it's all canted. But we're gonna throw some flux onto it. Trying to move a little bit quicker here, just because I want to keep that board nice and warm. So. Get you covered in some flux. And we're going to go with a little bit of a higher airspeed now. And we need my pokey jammy if I can find it. Here we are, because we're going to have to potentially get this snug. Now, again, since I've got plenty of these in my parts bin, if I screw this up, it's not the biggest deal. I'll turn this off. Can't really see. I'd do this the other way. There we go. She floated right back into place, so we'll just keep the air on it for just a second or two longer. Okay, all the surrounding passes have dried up again. I think that did it. Sure did. She's nice and solid. Oh, Lord. Well, my USB port just fell off. Huh. Son of a bitch. This has been a day. Let me frickin' tell you. This has been a day. Man, what a pain in the butt. I ruined the port? Son of a gun. Maybe I should just... No, lesson learned. Maybe I should have just put the fuel gauge back on first. Yeah, I ruined this port too. I didn't think that... Well, the port's not too bad, but it's not really what I wanted. Yeah, it definitely is very hot. The inside's fine. What top? Top still looking okay? Alright, well, I guess we go back to putting the port back on and going through all that rigmarole again. What's the battery looking like? And we are at 3 hours streaming, 90%. So it's doing better today. I just don't know. It was a weird one. I guess next week we'll try again with the MacBook and see how we go. Alright, well, let's see here. Unfortunately, I don't know if I'll be able to reuse this. Which kind of sucks, and I guess I should have just waited. Okay, we should be okay. So, we did do like this, that. Put some more tape over that now. Zoom out, zoom out. Okay, we're taping the silicone heat pad back onto place here. Yeah, it needs to go slightly up. Actually, I'm just gonna just redo the Kapton, because once the Kapton tape gets hot and used up, it doesn't stick very well. Okay, so we got that going there. Grab some more Kapton. Kapton acquired. And then we are going to just right across these heat shields. Now I have to be doubly careful because the fuel gauge is actually on, so I can't squeeze over it, which we are good there. Okay. All right. Looking good again. Let's move you slightly like that. Boy, it does not. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Boy, part of me doesn't know if I should use this port again. I mean, it's probably fine. Bothers the crap out of me that, see, like, how that bottom got melted just a little bit. I don't know if that's going to cause me issues or not. And I broke it off, so it should be okay. Let's do a quick little dry fit. Okay, we're gonna readjust our mic here. Yeah, microscope, not mic. Dry fit. Yeah, silicon's gonna get in the way, fortunately. Try again here. That is the only problem that I have with these silicon pads, is that they can kind of interfere with the port drop. But it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, you just, as long as you can get those middle pins on good, then you're okay for the most part. No, wait, you know what? Just a little bit more flux here, just to help things flow a little bit better. All right, folks. Once again, hot air station at 420 degrees Celsius or thereabouts. Okay. Still think I'm going to have to go and tap it again. She's tacked on good, though. Well, maybe I got her good in one go. Flip the board over, do a quick check. Make sure I didn't ruin all the work I literally just did again. She's on there. Hard to see because she's not focusing here. We'll put her into inspection mode and autofocus on. Looking good. Port looks okay for the most part. Flip back over on the other side, see what she looks like. Let's get her out of the board here. Okay. Peel you off now. See, looks good. Well, looks no more damage than what it was. And we will grab my Poke Jammy if I can find it. Give it another little zoom. Okay, got that going. I gotta take her out of autofocus so we don't go crazy trying to do this. This actually kind of, I hate to say it, but this looks a lot. Oh, that pin's not. No, that's fine. That one's not. That one's not. Okay. So pin 2, pin 3. Need a little bit of a love tap. And I don't mind doing these by hand just because, honestly, like, if it's just one or two, it's a lot less dangerous to use a soldering iron versus hot air. So what we're going to do is we'll just kind of put a little bit of pressure on the top. Then we're just going to approach the board. So pin 2, you just kind of want to, okay. Okay, I think that should be good. Probably most likely end up melting a little bit of plastic doing that, but that's fine. That still needs some love, and that still needs some love. Okay, so a little bit of flux, a little bit of solder on the tip, and we'll be good. I always try to do it dry first because sometimes it just needs to touch the solder and it's fine. Oh, what the heck did I do with? There you are. All right, so we just need to squeeze out a tiny drop of solder here. Flux for the solder. Okay. More than enough. And we're going to clean the soldering iron tip here. Wet then dry. And we'll get a little tiny, like just a tiny bit of solder on the tip. I don't need, that's way too much. You don't need much. And wipe off that. You really don't need much. Just enough to kind of, fuck, why is this not wanting, usually the solder is really good. Is the temperature not right? Okay. Let's try this. Okay. Give it another look now. Still think I need to do more work. Well, it didn't look like it flowed good enough. Nope. And nope. Let's see if I can maybe get a little bit more zoom on this and see if I can see better. I just don't want. So you don't want to push in too far because you'll tap up against the plastic in the back. But you can kind of just, that might work. I don't think that one did it. I didn't really get the angle that I wanted. I think I got the first one though. I did. And that one is still, just kind of need to like come over the top of it and press it down into the pad. It's got enough solder on it, so as long as I can get that action to go. So like you kind of like want to leave us just like that and then just push straight down like that. Give it a couple seconds, let go. Scraped up the solder mask a little bit, but that's okay. Chest again here. There we go. Solid as a rock. Double check, double check, double check. Double check. You are good. First one. Okay. My friends, I do believe that constitutes the bulk of the work I had to do on this board. So now all that's left to do, a little bit of cleanup of this flux that I got. So we're going to hit it with some 212-degree air to kind of rewarm it a little bit. Okay. Just need a little warm. Just a little warm. Now we're just cleaning this off. Okay. Oh, well, actually, that does not constitute the end of the work because, and I say because, we've got two things we got to do. One, we have to retest the connection here. Okay, we got a click, 2 clicks, she's good. So I'm just going to do this off camera real quick. I don't think we're going to have an issue. Continuity mode, good there. Okay, that's good. VBus. Okay. Okay. VBus is good. All right. And then the last little check I got to do. See if VBus is making it to the board. It is. Alrighty. So the last action that I have to do on this board before I can plug her in and do a test and hope to God that I did not fuck up that fuel gauge is these legs need some solder. If I don't solder these legs, it will be bad news bears. Actually, I'm not even sure if it'll work because I think it does need the ground to be present. And if it doesn't have the ground, you won't get power. Now, I have lost. There you are. There you are. Okay. So, leg one. Look at all that fur. I gotta love it. Love my pets. I do, but well, pet now. Used to have a dog and 3 cats, and now I have a single cat. Thanks to the lovely year that is 2022. Although I guess Fuzz did pass away plenty of years prior, so she can't claim the hellish year that I had. I can claim the hellish year that I had. It's been a rough one, let me tell you. Alright, so let's grab this tiny ass soldering tip that's not going to have enough thermal mass to do this job. Off. Put on a fresh tip. I'm going to go with that chisel tip that I used before. I do enjoy this tip for this job. Now what we want to do is we want to kind of get the solder, enough solder that it flows through from one side of the board to the other and anchors those legs down. And if can't get it going through all the way, it does happen. You can always just kind of solder from the top if you feel like you need to. I generally feel like most of the time, as long as you get a good enough chunk of solder through these holes, you're good. So it's the same thing. You just kind of feed the solder through and get both of the holes to join up, and then just wiggle back and forth and wiggle, 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 wiggle. And just kind of sit. I like to let it sit. You kind of want to let the heat travel up through the legs. Yeah, I can feel the board getting nice and hot, so I think we're good there. Clean the tip first. Just the tip. Same story. Feed through. Pay attention enough, you might see the solder come from the tip off into the port. Just a little bit more, I think. That should be good. Then we flip the board around and do the other side. All right, let's get you through. One of these days I'll feel safety conscious enough to actually get a fume extractor. Instead, I'll continue to enjoy the lovely smell of this Amtech Flux, which is actually does smell pretty good. It is one of the selling points of this Flux. It does not smell like China death when you burn it. I use a lot of solder on this one. That's okay. Just get through that board. Form a nice good joint. So I could smoke a joint later. Inspect the other side. Yeah, look at that. So it's always one. Always one freaking leg. So this guy right here, he's a little dry. Let's just take a look though. Yeah, so that's this guy right here. So let's just try feeding him a little bit more solder. So the guys that like to leave the solder in the ground leg holes, this is why they do that, because they don't have to muck with this step when they're done with the port. I think this is easier. In my opinion, I think this is easier. But you do you. Okay, that time. Yeah, we got some coming up. It's not the greatest. See, like you kind of want it to look like that, but quite honest, it's enough. You might even say that this. I always tend to do this. I use a little bit too much solder in the front, but it's on there. All right, clean up time, clean up time, clean up time, clean up time, and then we'll do a quick test. Clean this up, clean you up. See, I don't think I'm going to have time for today. I still need to grind down this port. See, I hate this. Is what again. This Flux is so freaking expensive, but it burns so easy, and then it just leaves these horrible chunky brown piles of crap everywhere. It's so gross. Get off my board, for real. What are you doing? Get off my board. Okay, let's try you again. I probably could use a new toothbrush too, but I do have some acid brushes with stiffer bristles that I made, but I think as long, yeah, we should be good there. This is all just personal preference. You don't have to go this crazy if you don't want to. I just like things looking as clean as I possibly can get them. Just hate like just chunks of burned shit just floating around everywhere. You don't have to sit here and scrape if you don't want to. In fact, I think I'm gonna even myself just call it a day. It can only get so clean, right? So let us dry you off. Just take a quick extra look, make sure I didn't completely fuck anything else up. I mean, that looks good. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick and dirty test here. Quick and dirty test. So, oh, that did not want to work. I thought I'd already flipped you over. There we go. Turn this. Okay, actually, that's kind of better. I think that looks pretty good, guys. I don't know. I haven't to remember this light position. It's a little in my face, but I think you get better lighting for you guys. Okay, so bring my good old friend, my USB ammeter, back into focus here. Can we get a little bit out? There we go. Perfect. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna plug in a test battery. like so. Yeah, I'm probably going to end up replacing that port next week when I get back to this again, because that's just bothering me. That's kind of too broken for me to feel comfortable with, and it's an easy fix for the most part. Okay, so let's get this ammeter into focus here. What we're expecting to see here is 15 volts. I want to see it to go to 0.47 amps, drop down to like 0.2. You should see the meter flick on and off, and then go back up to 0.4. That indicates the board is booting. 15 volts, 0.45. And it flicked. Ladies and gentlemen, that would be at 0.6 amp. Oh, she's fast charging now. Hell yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, at this point, I think I am just going to say thank you for stopping in. It's been a great stream. We got this board. We replaced the fan connector. We replaced the Joy-Con connector. We replaced the speaker connector. We replaced the USB port twice. we also replaced and repaired all the damage that I caused by replacing the USB port. The board boots. As far as I can tell, it's not completely 100% tested, but when I get back to this for the next stream, we will grind down the port. That still needs to be done. Then once the port gets grinded down or ground down, I'll put it back in the housing and I will do a complete test on it. I might do that off stream, might not. We'll see. But I kind of wanted to have a stream where we just ended on a success and not on my computer shutting down and not on me completely mucking something up or just struggling with getting something to work. So, given the fact that this is actually pretty much functional, we're going to call it good. And I'm going to end stream there. I don't really have anyone to raid or know how to do that just quite yet because I'm still quite new. But if you are new, I have one person in my chat. Uh, feel free to drop a follow and a subscribe and hit that bell button if it makes me more noticeable in your stream. And I hope to catch you all next time. All right, guys, it was fun. See you all next week.